Welcome to Work Hard. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Jason.
Now this is podcasting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Tuesday for them?
Oh, for them. I was like, no, it's Saturday.
It's Tuesday for them?
Tuesday for them if they're watching it right when it was released, yeah.
Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good week so far. I know you're listening to this on Tuesday morning on your drive to work. I guess it would be Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, commute home.
Yeah, because we come out, like midday or
10
mid-morning?
a.m.
10 a.m.?
We can always change that just when I thought it was.
I like it.
Why not?
I like it. Give the people what they need, dude. A little bit of unwinding, sort of brotherly friendship on the way home after a hard day of work. I know you guys have grueling little jobs. I have a grueling little job, or had a grueling little job. I'll have another one, dude. I was, I'm starting to kind of dip my toe back into getting into doing interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
It is so painful, man. After taking time away and then getting back into like looking at job descriptions and talking to people and being like the buzzwords like greenfield accounts, high performance, leveraging your strategic value added sales consultation style, get together with C-suite level
The
software
corporate salad speech.
It's like it for real. It's like breathing stale air. That's what it feels like. I don't know if my face and the sound of my voice is communicating how tired it makes me feel, but it is. It has to come to a swift end, or I'm going to. I don't know what to do, man. That's the thought that I was having. So I'm interviewing at my old company's competitor.
Okay.
And I was thinking to myself, it's a great opportunity, easy money, kind of a layup, good company for my style of sales. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot. Doing this for another 2 years is like pushing it.
Sand in the eyes.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's like the hiring manager. The hiring manager is like a short cropped haircut, dyed blonde, young black woman, like girl boss.
Okay.
I don't actually know that about her. She might be a perfectly fine young lady. But she so I found their I found a job posting for them online. I just went to their website and looked and found it. So I called every member of their sales leadership that I could find.
Yeah.
Like that morning, and just called all of them. Nobody answered, but I got her on LinkedIn, and the moment she accepted my invite, she accepted it, messaged me, and was like, "Hey Ethan, I'm hiring for this position. Have you ever done this before?" And I was like, "Yep, sure have." And it's just for those of you who don't have LinkedIn accounts, there is a like sociopathic, manic energy. Dude, let me it'll take me 10 seconds to do this. These people,
bring it on.
You'll never ever convince me that these salespeople, or not salespeople, but these that people who like consistently post on LinkedIn are not like fundamentally sociopathic individuals. First of all, there are so many of these. This is Ajit Kumar. 5 realistic ways to use ChatGPT effectively. Now, this is supposed to be a real human. All right, this is not an ad. This is supposed to be a human being with a pulse and a brain typing this. All right. 5 realistic ways to use ChatGPT effectively. Robot head emoji. Want better results with ChatGPT? Try this. Play a role. Ask it to act like a teacher, a chef, or a marketer. State your needs. Be clear about what you want. Define the task. Writing, summarizing, or brainstorming, ? Mention it. Add details. Give examples or context. It helps a lot. Set limits. Tell it what to avoid to stay on track. Small tweaks make a big impact. Explosion emoji. Have you tried any of these? Here's some free courses I can recommend you to. And this is like here's one I know. I can actually just search this guy up because I look at his stuff so often because it's so painful. Shout out Dalton, dude. First of all, look at this picture. Okay? Get a load of that.
That's
right?
a beta.
That's our individual. Now, I'm not going to show this picture to y'all. That would be inappropriate. Oh, man, this sucks. First of all, pre-order my book. My new book is in his like tagline for his profile.
Yeah. Well,
business is strange.
That's where I'd put it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Business is a strange game. It demands everything from you. Your time, your focus, your sanity, and promises nothing in return. You chase your goals that move every time you get close. There's no rule book, no finish line. Just problems to solve and versions of yourself to outgrow. Some days you feel like a genius. Other days you feel like a fraud. That's because you are, Dalton. But you keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because something in you refuses to quit. That's real game. Not building the business, becoming the person who can. That's the real game. Not building the business, becoming the person who can. Now that's just one. We pulled one. Let's go to another.
What do you know? More focus on the self.
More focus on the self. More focus. Now there's this thing that's going on. Oh, here we go. Okay, that's terrible, and I'm not going to read that. That's just gay.
So
Rules for successful side hustle engagement. Crush it in your role. If you're a poor performer, then quit the side hustle and master your craft, or go all in on the hustle, but most likely just quit the side gig. So this guy's $1 million advice for how to do best at your side gig. Rules to successfully side hustle engagement. Quit. Work harder like a good little bug at your that's his to free yourself, to go all in on your side hustle and get financial stability, get out of the corporate grind, whatever. Quit your side hustle and be a better corporate drone. You add more value to your employer than you are compensated for. That's how employment works. You know that, but don't let it go to your head. First of all, all right. Adding value, okay? This is the buzz phrase of all buzz phrases. This is the penultimate, like, LinkedIn business guy, cheap blazer, like, what's the shirt company? Untuck It?
I don't know.
Untuck It? Pocket Watch? Bespoke Post.
Okay.
These are leather tennis shoe wearing, kind of cheap but overly priced, same haircut as the dude next to you, sitting in a cubicle, grind all day, salespeople. These are marketing people who have fake email jobs, adult daycare. I got a college degree I shouldn't have. I should be in a coal mine getting whipped type individuals. All right. They have this concept called adding value. Okay. Now adding value is in its essence, the image, I don't know who said it first. It's like Steve Jobs or somebody. The person who said it first, they were right. Like, you don't need to be focused on making money. You need to be focused on contributing something to the world at large. And then the the money will
Everything
come.
will come from that.
Yeah, it will come from that. Now, these people, the average person is not equipped to think that way. Maybe not even necessarily the average person, but like these people, these roaches are not. These are what last episode talked about butt slugs. We found them. Okay, these people are not equipped to be thinking about adding value. That is not. They are too expedient. They're dogs. They think 1 second behind them and 1 second ahead of them. That's it. The only time they think outside of that is they think about going home to watch their TV shows. That's it. Those are the only thoughts that they're having. Okay, they're thinking, what's for lunch? When is the new season of Severance coming on? And will she text me back? That's what they're thinking about, okay? Those are their thoughts. All right, now this person is so expedient they can't think 5 years, 10 years. They pretend like they are, and they even may believe that they are, but they're daydreaming. They're having these little thoughts in their head like this. It's the same equivalent as a girl doing the little, I don't know if you ever saw that. It was a big public school thing where the girls had the paper, and they had the, I'm going to get married to unwrap Jonathan, and I'm going to drive and it says, Cadillac.
Yeah.
And I'm going to live in a beautiful house, and it's the paper, and they do the paper.
It says yes, no, maybe.
Yes, that's what these people are doing when they're in their head, when they're like, I'm businessman planning business. That's what they're doing. They're going like this. I'm going to be, Dalton is sitting in his cubicle at his desk or wherever he's sitting.
Folding paper
going, I'm a pretty girl, and I'm going to be in a nice dress at my wedding. And when I get done, we're going to have chocolate cake at my wedding. And then afterwards, my boyfriend's going to take me on a fun date, and we're going to hang out and give each other a kiss. That's what Dalton's doing when he's writing an email saying, we're going to grind and wake up, and the best way you got to do your side hustle is, it's the same thing as being, I'm a good little girl at school with my pencils.
Where he's side hustling with his book.
Yes, exactly. Same thing, all right? So adding
But you
value.
should quit your side hustle.
Yeah, you should quit your side hustle, but I'm going to keep doing my side hustle because I'm an expedient scammer who's trying to steal money. That's what Dalton is doing, okay?
It's only $15.99.
Only $15.99, and it wasn't worth writing. It definitely isn't worth reading. So Dalton has found a way to, whatever. Anyways, adding value, all right? Now, adding value. These people, they want to add value. Not because they have a good heart and they're out there trying to make the world a better place and then they get rich off that. They want to add value because they want the money.
Yeah.
Right? So it completely circumvents the process altogether in like a meta way, like one step deeper, right? So it becomes very quickly not about adding value, but just, again, about money. But they still have this conceptualization of like, I'm adding value, I'm adding value, I'm adding value. And so the value they add is like, dude, go to LinkedIn right now. Make a LinkedIn. If you don't have one, make a LinkedIn account. Follow a couple people. Go look around. Every post is about, this is how you use ChatGPT better. And it's just some guy. It's not like it's
Who asked ChatGPT?
Right. The post is made by ChatGPT, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that's my point, is that he went and said, how do you use you better?
Make a value added post about whatever. And it's just value added.
And it's like
value added. Yeah, dude. Yes, just taking a dump on the internet, bro. Just straight up Indian posting. And
there's some water.
There's some water. Better take a dump in it.
It is tradition.
It is tradition. It is my tradition to poop in all standing water.
This is the way.
This is the way. I don't actually. It's just nearby standing water. If there's a puddle, I'll poop next to it, in it, wherever, just in the vicinity. And they're adding value.
The water will know.
Yes, the water will know. The water will know what I was trying to do. That I was in the spirit of an Indian man. I had
back to LinkedIn.
Back to LinkedIn. B2B SaaS, all right? SaaS is a software as a service. SaaS. Okay. B2B is business to business. Okay, now B2B SaaS was the sexy thing 10, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's where you went to make all the money. And that's what I do. You can still make a ton of money there. I'm going to try to not be that way, obviously. But my old boss, and this is not just him. This is endemic to the entire industry. There's a value added sales. It's like a big term, value added sales. And the idea is that you're going to come in and you're going to justify your price point by adding value.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to negotiate. You're not when your competitor comes in and says they can do it for 10% less than you can do it for. You're not going to match their price.
You're going to say we do that and this.
We do that and whatever. Now here's the thing. This is a perfect example of what I'm saying. B2B SaaS is almost entirely commoditized at this point because Indians will code anything for cheap. So everybody does what everybody else does. It's a race to the bottom. So these like complex strategic sales don't exist anymore. That's not really something that happens. Everybody does what everybody else does. There's some variation in quality depending literally on where your support team is and who actually made the software. So like my old company did everything in the US. And so that was, and the company I'm going to right now does everything in India. So that was our thing, which is very funny because we're not allowed to say their product is made and supported by Indians.
Yeah.
What we have to say is our product is made and supported stateside.
Yeah.
Nothing's overseas. Nothing's outside. And so everybody understands tacitly that if Indians are involved, it's going to be less quality. But you're not allowed to say that. So anyways, there's this value-added sales, right? And constantly you'll get from sales leaders all the time, are your reps, is the average close price of your reps a little low? Teach them these 5 things about value-added sales and consultation, all right? They'll all talk value-added sales. You come in, hey, this company can do it. You go to your boss. You say, hey, this is what I quoted them for. They got a competitive quote for 10% less from so-and-so. Your boss will come in and say, let's talk value. Where can we add? What can we do here? Let's not give up price immediately, which is fine. Don't give up price immediately, but let's talk value, whatever, blah, 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 every sales training, value-added sales, whatever. Now, the moment the rubber hits the road, now this guy, specifically my boss, first of all, give you a little context on this guy. He started golfing like a year and a half ago or like 2 years ago or something. I didn't realize that because the way he talks about golf and the way and how much he plays golf.
Oh, okay.
I thought he had been playing golf since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently the first time one of the very first times he ever played golf was with my dad. And he was like, this sucks. Golf is stupid. I don't like this. You guys are dumb, whatever. And as soon as it became socially advantageous for him to get good at golf, he's Mr. Golf Man. Yeah. Now he's in a company where everybody golfs, everybody likes golf. Now he's Mr. Golf. He's so Mr. Golf that I thought he was like born with a golf club in his hand. Like I thought he was Rory.
His poor mother.
Yeah, that hurt. So this is the type of guy, right? Just literally not a human being, just a Rubik's Cube, just shifting toy that just changes as it is needed. And so he's like, you got to set traps. You got to do this. You got to ask about this thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. La, 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 la. You get into like a sales call with him, with customers. You get where the rubber meets the road. And he's everything he says, we're adjustable on this price point. We can move around on this price. This price is flexible. This is not our best and final. Everything, price. No value added sales at all. No mention of what we can do that's better than them. Some kind of mention of like, we're stateside, whatever. But I mean, it just immediately goes to price. He immediately goes to price every time. And I watched him do it. I saw his call recordings. I watched him do it on my calls with customers. Immediately to price. The second to price. And like these people are delusional. Like everyone, if you write on a piece of paper, or like if you put someone on like a performance improvement plan, a PIP, and then say, well, he's not very good at value-added sales, so everything becomes a negotiation on price. Leadership, sales leadership, everyone will read that and go, yeah, he's not, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. And then those exact people will get into meetings, unironically, they will read that and 15 minutes later jump into a meeting with somebody and immediately go to price.
Yeah.
Immediately. Just nothing. Nothing. And these are people that are making $1 million, $2 million a year.
Yeah.
C-suite executives. Like some of the people that you would think are the most accomplished, intelligent, self-aware people on earth are sociopathic retards who are, it is, what it is I used to think that it was a insane injustice that these organizations were operated and run by some of the most despicable, retarded butt slugs that have ever existed. I used to think that. What it actually is it is a testament not only to the power of collaboration between humans, but to the faithfulness of God maintaining all of this. Like the fact that Apple can be Apple, and it is full
of these people.
Of these people. It is run exclusively by these people. It is staffed exclusively by these people. And it still is one of the biggest companies in the world, is a testament to God's desire to keep human beings from killing ourselves. Yeah, from destroying ourselves. It is such a testament to his grace and mercy that these people are capable of anything. It's absurd, and it's all luck. It's all for all of them. They're all just grasping at straws in the dark. No one has any idea how anything works, how to say or do anything. They have no idea of what's going on. And it's just that God has his hand on the scale, so everything will work out 51% of the time. So as long as they just stay sociopathic and unself-aware enough to not ruminate on their own failures and shortcomings as a person, they're good. All you have to do is just keep moving. And that goes back to the thing I've said for years. Just keep walking. Just don't give up. It will just base layer work out 51% of the time. You'll be fine.
All right.
That's LinkedIn. Insane.
So go make an account.
Yeah,
what are you waiting for?
Go make an account. Go look at, I'm not going to say his name. I'll leave him alone. Dalton, though, brother, you got to make some serious adjustments. I need you to. Well, you need you to. I don't know your status as a faithful man, but it doesn't seem, just from the outside looking in on your LinkedIn at least, doesn't seem great.
Ooh.
So,
what a smooth transition.
What a smooth transition.
All right. This is the segment that we like to call Between the Couch Cushions.
Yes.
If this is your first time watching, very briefly, if you look through a couch, put your hand between the cushions, oftentimes you find something lost. We are trying to bring back lost or forgotten media that is typically at least 20 years old.
Typically.
That's the cap that we've established since last episode when Ethan brought a 2005 movie in.
I cheated a little bit.
But I figure if it's older than typical Gen Zer, then we're okay. So, you want to lead us off, Ethan?
Yeah, man, I'll lead us off. I'll lead us right off. My recommendation today is a band called Minor Threat. Classic punk band. All-time punk band. Very, hardcore thrash kind of stuff. I'm trying to it's guard your heart against some of the stuff on there, but a lot of it's good. You got to hear it now, especially if you're young. You're going to need that attitude going into whatever it is you're doing. You're going to need that kind of, I don't need you. I don't need this.
As a rejection of the world.
Right.
Just having the attitude, but pointed in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. Like,
is it a Christian band?
No.
Not.
No.
Okay.
No. But Christianity.
But you're saying take that energy and point it in the right direction.
Yes. I've been saying this since Trump was elected the first time, that Christianity is the most punk rock thing right now. And that's still true. Christianity is still the most punk rock thing being a Christian is the most punk rock thing you can do right now. That'll change eventually because we'll retake control of everything. But then
it'll be normies.
Yeah, then it'll be normies. Being punk rock. Yeah, posting thoughtlessly on LinkedIn will be punk rock. They're just good, and you need to foster some of that. I think every man needs to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a bit of a I'm going to go, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. I hope. You just need to have a little bit of chip on your shoulder. You need to have a little bit of disdain for the system. You need to have a little bit of distrust for everything around you. You need to have a sense of, I don't need this. I don't need your standards. I don't need your way of doing things. I got my own game going on, and I will make it work. And you are not going to tell me what to do or how to live my life. I'm going to do.
Unless you're God.
I was about to say. I was in the middle of saying I answer to one person and one person only.
As usual, I cut you off.
Yes,
like, Ethan, don't you mean?
Right as I was about to qualify. You
beat
answer
him to it again.
You answer to one person and one person only, and that is the creator of all life.
Mm-hmm.
And these companies need to know that. They need to get corrected a little bit. So they need to have some angry employees tell them no. So Minor Threat, that's my recommendation.
Go enjoy some punk rock.
Yeah.
All right. I've got a book that will kind of bleed into our main topic. So my recommendation is the collection called Favorite Poems, Old and New, and these were selected by Helen Ferris. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a collection of poems. I believe there's categories, I think, in the table of contents. But usually I'll pull this out at bedtime, and just the, reading poetry is soothing to listen to, so I find it to be a useful after devotion if the kids are already tired, or maybe if they aren't, and helping to make them sleepy, or just reading them something kind of melodic that helps soothe them. So favorite poems, old and new. There's a lot of great classics and some you haven't heard of. There was one, I grew up on this book, and my parents gifted it to us as well to read to our kids. I think there was a family favorite called, it was very funny, called Custard and the Dragon. And Custard was a dragon.
Okay. But
he was a cowardly dragon. He kept crying for a nice, safe cage.
Yeah.
And everyone else in the house, it was like Melinda, and Belinda were two kittens, and they chased lions down the stairs, and, a whole bunch of other things. How brave everyone was, until there was like a pirate that climbed in the window one day, and everyone just shrieked and ran, except for Custard the dragon, who like thrashed his tail like chains in a dungeon, and then like went at that pirate like a robin at a worm, and then it gobbled him down.
Nice. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a pretty funny poem. So look up Custard and the Dragon. Get favorite poems, old and new, for your kids.
Nice. All right, guys, we're talking actually a very important topic today, so we got to be a little reverent here.
Unlike all the other topics. Usually we choose really silly topics that don't matter.
Yeah.
But this one.
This one is important.
This one is extra important.
Yeah. This one is witnessing to your kids, raising Christian kids. So I have one kid, another on the way. Jason has 4. So Jason obviously have more experience with this. There's a few things I can regurgitate here that I've had in the last couple years, and I can tell a couple stories. But this is the point, okay? What we're doing here, what Jason and I are doing here, what I do at work, what Jason does at his job, that he only is going to have for a couple more months. Very nice.
Yeah.
These things operate in support of this mission, and this mission is to raise a Christian family and to raise little Christians. All I would say, maybe this is hyperbolic, but I would say all things in day-to-day life are subservient to this task, and I lose sight of that. I think it's easy to lose sight of that.
Yep. Selfishness will get in the way of anything, and we're all born very selfish.
Yeah, and everybody has their own goals, things they want to pursue, and so it's easy to...
You want your time.
Yeah, you want your time.
And it's real hard to let it go.
Very hard.
Each kid takes away more and more of it.
Yes, yeah. So,
parenting is the most sanctifying process.
Yeah, holy smokes. Yeah, dude, yeah. You'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn...
You don't think you're a selfish person until you get woken up in the middle of the night a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're like, what? And if the kid could speak, it'd be like, well, they can, but if they could speak more coherently with better ideas, they'd be like, you had me.
Yeah.
I didn't choose to be here. I'm upset. This is on you.
My pants are full of poop.
Yeah. I literally been pooping.
I'm
for
really
like
hungry.
2 hours. Yeah.
I'm starving. I have a very small stomach.
Yeah.
I need to eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
I just want to be loved.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
I need you to hold me.
Yeah. Theo Vaughn has a pretty good quote.
Does he?
Yeah, which is he's saying that he wants to have kids, and it might be selfish, but one of the things he thought is that maybe he could get some sort of completion, some sort of healing, some sort of wholeness from loving a child more than he was loved, giving that child love that he never got. And I found that to be very true and very like where your parents fell short, where my parents fell short, people's parents fell short, stepping up and filling those gaps for your kid is a very healing process for you, for whatever part of you that got stunted when you were little.
And I think on top of that, it also has made me realize, it gives me a lot more sympathy for my parents in those shortcomings, and understand that I have had shortcomings and I will continue having them, and some I won't be aware of until they're all long gone and it's too late for me to do anything about it.
Yeah.
By God's providence, obviously. And I think it's important to pray about this too, to ask God to show you your sin, to reveal to you what you don't see about yourself.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have prayed this sometimes, and like within the week, we'll become aware of things that we've been doing that are not loving to our kids.
Yeah.
Like God answers prayer every time when you ask for things that he has already told you he wants for you. So if we're commanded to have children, if we're commanded to raise them in a godly manner, and if you ask God to help make you a more godly parent, he will 110% of the time do that.
Yeah.
Without fail, because God keeps his promises. So don't for a second think that, well, I won't be a perfect parent. It's like, well, no, you won't be, but
that's not an excuse.
If you don't think you'll be a good parent, that's not an excuse not to have children.
Right.
You need to have children, not just because you need to have other Christians in the community. You are bringing souls into the world to worship God, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
You are bringing glory to God by propagating, by filling the earth, by bringing it under dominion of mankind, because that's why we were created.
Yeah, and there's
our purpose we've been given.
Yeah, which kind of bleeds into a point that I wanted to make, which is that
so he'll fulfill that plan in you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Something that I see, and maybe this is just through exposure to my parents and my in-laws, but something I see in the previous generation, or maybe this isn't previous generation, maybe this is just parents in general, even Christian parents, is they will, when there's discipline that needs to occur, or when there's something that needs to be changed or altered, or there's a rule that needs to be put in place, or anything that happens, you tell your kid, hey, don't do that, whatever. It's good to explain to them, I think, and kind of reason with them and say, we're not going to do that because you could burn yourself if you touched whatever. But I think that there's a big shortfall in a lot of parenting I've seen done in my life, where there's no connection made between the instruction you're giving to that child, the discipline that you're giving to that child, the rules you're setting, and the Lord. There's no, we're not doing this because the Lord told us this. Why do I, because I said so. Mm-hmm. Why can't I do that? Because I said. Follow that up. Because I said, and because God gave me the authority to make this decree.
Right. And when they're older, you ask them the questions, keeps them clued in.
Yeah.
Or tuned in. Say, who do you have to obey? Well, I have to obey you. Why is that? Because God said so. Yeah, so God put me in authority over you. It is my job from God to discipline you, to love you, to raise you right. And so you need to obey.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll meet consequences.
Yeah, and it's
like this one's straight from the top, kid.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going off script on this one.
This is yeah.
But if you can't come up with that answer, it might be a clue to you that you are off script and you're just making radical rules based off of pet peeves.
Right, pet peeves and wanting to go play video games or whatever.
Yeah, if you're just making excuses saying, well, you have to go down for a nap because I want to do this other thing.
Right.
And they don't need a nap. You just want them to shut up and go away for an hour.
Right.
Like, I want to pretend I don't have kids for an hour. So,
yes.
Go be away from me for a while.
Yeah.
Not that decompression time is wrong or bad. I think you do need that as an adult and in your marriage, and this is something that we have typically fallen short in, is spending enough marriage, like date time.
Yeah.
We don't very much.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's been because of having trouble with not finding babysitters, but I guess historically we just have not trusted anyone outside of family to watch the kids when they're little. So we just have a very, very strict
pool of people you can tap into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids are getting older, so that pool is widening. And
Right.
we have a strong community now that we're, going to start using for that. But for a long time, it wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
It wasn't in God's plan. I
Well,
want to say the cards. That's a...
I'm lucky because Jason has birthed my babysitters. Your girls are almost perfect age for being just about right for babysitting when my girls are going to be old enough to be babysat.
Yeah.
So,
there
great.
you go.
Yeah.
My eldest is already trying to negotiate with another of our friends to watch their babies.
Oh, yeah? Well, how old is she?
Just turned 9.
Okay, yeah, give her like 2 years. She can come watch
Yeah.
our kids. Yeah. She's very responsible. The other day, she came up to ask me if she could take Abigail to go play like in the fellowship hall. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
fine. I don't care. I was like, when you're done with her, bring her back. They'll just let her walk off, at least bring her back and you're good to go. And then she did. So it was all good.
Good. Yeah. She loves watching little kids.
Yeah, she's very sweet. She's very, very sweet.
Yes, she is.
One of the things also that I think is important is that for every rule you set for your kids, especially when you're making appeals to your own authority and stuff like that, your kids need to see you lived out in your own life. So
exceedingly important. Do not be a hypocrite.
Yeah, one thing I explained to...
It's very hard to do, actually.
Yeah, very hard, very hard. Like my daughter has asked several times, because I work from home for the most part, and so she'll come ask, and I'll come in to use a restroom, or I'll come in to get lunch, or whatever, or just come in to see them, and she'll say, "Can you play with me?" Every time can you play with me? And sometimes I say yes. A lot of times I have to say no because I'm working.
Yeah.
And so I'll kneel down and I'll say to her, God has given Daddy a job, and he needs to do that job well. God has put men in authority over Daddy that have given Daddy instruction, just like I give you instruction, and I need to do them. I need to be obedient to them because I want to be obedient to the Lord. And I explain that to her often. And this kind of, I think the verse, I don't remember which verse it is, but it's the verse that we can just put the actual verse as the title of this episode. The verse that's when you're walking and sitting down, when you're laying, and be teaching your children at all times about the law, the law of the Lord. I think this is the thrust that I want to make here, is that there's this practical tips we can give you, which is like things like I usually, it's been bad lately, but usually I read a psalm to the family at dinner. We pray before bed, pray before every meal. I let my daughter see that I'm doing a Bible study, in the morning, see that I'm spending time in the Word and praying. There are practical tips, but I think the main thrust I want to make here is that this is a lifestyle, that this is something that ingratiates everything you do. Every time your daughter asks a question, Why is the sky blue? Why do the trees grow like that? Because the Lord made them that way. Well, why did he make them that way? Why don't we look it up and ask or pray? Why don't we, whatever. But it's everything you say. We're going to the fair. We're going to the fair today because God has given us the time and the money to go to the fair today. And so that's clearly in his plan. So we're going to go do that. And I'm a very irreverent person. I don't take a lot of things seriously, and my daughter knows that. My wife knows that. Everybody around me knows that. But I make it very clear to my daughter that I take this stuff very seriously. The church is it's not time to joke around and play.
The sharp contrast.
Yeah, very sharp contrast. And that I think I've seen in her instill a very serious, she takes church very seriously. She doesn't whisper anywhere else, but she whispers at church. And when everybody else prays, she goes like this, and she tries to sing along with us, and she takes it very seriously. And I think that's because she's seen me be so flippant about almost everything else.
Yeah.
Except for my marriage. But even then, like, there are many things about my marriage that I'm like, well, she won't be Latin
joking
later.
around.
Yeah. I did hit my wife with I did something, and she was like, "Oh, dude." Yo. Okay. So, we were in Colorado, and I don't remember, my wife like farted or something. And I said, "You need to wash your hands."
You mean no?
I said, "You need to wash your hands." And she said, "No, I don't itch my hole like you." And then she's like turned away from me in bed. And I went, "Yeah, I do that." And then I just held my fingers like this, like to where she would turn her head, so that it would, like, when she turned her head, my fingers would be right there, implying that I had just itched my butt. And now there was poop on my, like, fecal matter on my fingers. They were stinky. And she turned her head and she hit my fingers with
her
it. But
mouth.
I had not itched my butt. I had just taken a shower. I was completely clean. So I was not actually putting stinky poop fingers in my wife's face. But she turned and she put her lips on my fingers. Like, she touched. And she, like, first of all, immediately gagged. Secondly, whispers screaming a profanity-laced, like, string of "you're the most despicable person I've ever met." Furious, dude. So mad. And I'm about to pee myself. Like, I'm about to become incontinent. I'm laughing so hard. So hard I'm laughing, dude. And she is, like, as hard as she can, open palms, like, slapping me in the back. And I'm laughing so hard it's not even phasing me. Like, and it's making her more angry that I'm not even trying to defend myself. And so she's, like, double hand slapping me as hard as she can. And
Oh my goodness.
After it settled down, whatever, she got fine. And then I was like, I didn't itch my butt, by the way. My hands were clean. I managed to get that out while I'm laughing. So that starts to ease the tension. Like 15 minutes later, she finally turns over. And is not that mad at me anymore. So I give her a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, "I'm sorry. This is whatever." And I was like, "Well, it's pretty funny though." And she was like, "It's not funny. It's not funny. I don't know why you think it's funny." And then, like, a day later, we're talking about it again. And I was like, "Yeah, I knew you were going to be furious when I did that." And she was like, "Then why did you do it?" And I was like, "Because I knew you wouldn't be later."
It would make a good story.
It would make a great story, and I knew you'd be fine later, which is just shout out, kind of an aside for the guys, but one of the all-time greatest pagan marriage tips I've ever heard was from Louis C.K., which is, "My girlfriend is mad at me. Yeah, well, later, she won't be." Phenomenal relationship advice. It just means when your girl's twisted up and angry, you don't have to get all upset. You can stay solid and stoic, because later she'll be fine.
Because you were justified in sticking stink fingers in her mouth.
Yeah, you're justified in messing with your wife. Yeah. No, not necessarily. I'm just saying it's a good reminder for guys that at all times you got to be the rock. Even she gets permission to spaz out, you got to stay chill. So my daughter sees me take things seriously. She sees me joking around about stuff. So you got to lead. You got to lead by example, and this has to be. I guess the point, the original thing I was saying was that the thrust of this is that everything you do needs to be dripping with lessons about God's grace, about His sovereignty, about His about the value and the love that is built into His rules and His standard. That's a Doug Wilson quote. Make them love the standard. Teach them to love the standard. When they're older, when they can drive, you'll have no power, virtually no power over what they do. At that point, they need to love the Lord and love His standard.
If they don't, they will.
It's too late.
They'll love the world.
Yeah, it's too late. They're going to have to go through their own path of suffering and pain to get to a place where they love the Lord.
Right. They'll have to discover it the hard way.
Right. They'll have to do it the hard way. And they may not. They may not ever do it. So you have to do it early on. And it just, again, everything has to be dripping with the Lord's grace. We're doing a remodel of our house. Mm-hmm. Abigail loves our room, our master bedroom now, because it's big. There's nothing in it, so you can just run around in circles.
Lots of play area.
Yeah. And so we pray often and thank God for the new room. We thank God for whatever. We teach her to pray. She prays now. She prays a lot. She prays for your daughter. She prays for her other friends. So it needs to be constant. And I think it needs to be early. My daughter's almost...
It's certainly best that way.
Yeah, she's 2. She barely understands anything. And I just read her the Easter story. And I read her I did not read her like a watered down. And then Jesus went to whatever. This is what Palm Sunday was. This is Good Friday. This is, these are what these are.
Yeah.
And I could tell that she was like, this is a story from a book. It's a book story. And so I stopped reading and I looked at her and I said, this is not pretend. This really happened. Do you know, like when we sit down at the end of the day and I ask you what your favorite part of the day was at dinner and you tell me, but it's from the past. It already happened. She goes, yeah. And I said, okay, this is real. This is not pretend. And she started looking at me like this. And then she said, I'm done with this book. And I said, why? And she said, it's too weird. And I went, that's a pretty good reaction.
Yeah.
You're getting it. It's sinking in.
Yeah.
And
it's disturbing.
Yeah, it's disturbing. And because we were at the part where he was being killed. We were at the part where we were at the part where the crowd had turned on Christ. And she did not, before it was funny and this is going to have a good end and whatever.
Yeah.
And then it sunk in that it was real. And she was like, I don't like this.
Tapping out.
Yeah, I'm done. And so I said, we're going to finish it. Okay, whatever. And I finished it, and we got to the part where he was being sacrificed on the cross, and I explained to her that they beat him, and they killed him. And she was like, so he died? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, and he went to heaven? And I went, no, he did not go to heaven. And she was like, but when you die, you go to heaven. And I said, no, not everybody. That is not what Jesus did. And she was like, where did he go? And I explained hell, and it's not necessarily a place, but it's a state of being separated from God. You'll get that when you're older, but there's, when you're hungry, right? And she said, yeah, imagine being as hungry as you could possibly ever be. That's hell. You're longing to be with God, but you can't. And she was clearly didn't 100% click, but I just kept going. She kind of got it.
Yeah, very abstract.
Yeah, we just kept pushing, and I think that's fine. I don't think they need to necessarily fully understand. I think that I think that's the biggest mistake is to go, they're not able to understand everything, so I'm not going to explain or I'm going to dumb it down to an extremely watered children's storybook. Yeah.
That's why I'm not a big fan of like children's Bibles, because they just abbreviate everything so badly.
Yeah.
And in the process, sometimes they miss the whole point of that story because they soften it so much.
Right. Or they use like,
there's like no edge to it.
Yeah, there's no edge, and there's like everybody got really mad at Jesus, and so they crucified him on the cross, and he just never explains what crucified on the cross means.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
he was beaten with clubs, and he had thorns shoved onto his head.
Yeah.
And they stripped him naked. They stole all his clothes.
Yeah.
And then when he was beaten and weak and bleeding, his back was shredded by glass and nails and whips, and they made him carry a big, heavy piece of wood until he collapsed.
Yeah.
And then they got there, and they took big nails, and they drove him. They nailed his body to this piece of wood and stood him up there and waited for him to die.
Yeah. Then just hit him with that, and then be quiet, and let that sink in. I used to be a camp counselor, and we would take turns.
And it was your fault.
Yeah, and it was your fault. Yeah, and it was your fault.
And Daddy's.
Maybe not include that part quite yet till they're equipped to deal with that emotionally, but.
And obviously, I mean, maybe not going into all the level of detail.
You can say, I would say the way I would word that to them is that he did it for you. Not necessarily it's your fault, but it's he did it.
That was a joke.
Okay.
Be like, and it's your fault, 2-year-old.
We used to...
no, but he died because he had to
save us.
Pay for our sins.
Yeah.
Sins can only be paid for with blood, with death and suffering.
So,
and Jesus was perfect, and he was able to... Anyway, go ahead.
Camp counselor.
Camp counselor of yours?
I was a camp counselor.
Oh, so was I.
Nice. And it was... We would take turns, so that we do the camp, we do lunch, do snack, whatever, and then we'd have like a 5 or 10 minute little talk with the kids, and we would take turns. And some counselors would give a message about. Basically, we would abbreviate over a week, but we would tell the gospel story.
Okay.
And I almost always told the death and resurrection of Christ. Was the part that I usually got assigned. And sometimes I wouldn't, some whatever. And the other counselors would get up there, and then Jesus, they got very mad at him, and they put him on a cross, and he died. But he came back, like immediately, like he came back, whatever. And I would get up there, and the kids would, be shifting and whatever. They're just kids, being kids, right? I would get up there, and I would be like, they took him and beat him with a whip and killed him. Like they want to kill you. And they will kill you. There is something out there, a beast, an embodiment of chaos. And that's what I would say. Like I'd say stuff like that. An embodiment of chaos that wants to kill you, that lives in you, that lives all around you, and it wants you dead and boiling. Christ died, and I would tear up. Christ died on the cross to pay a price that keeps that thing away from you. And whatever, and I tell this, they beat him, they put a crown of, when you get a thorn in your finger, they put that on his head. And they nailed him to a cross, and he suffocated to death. And then they stabbed him. And it was brutal and bloody and hellish. And every second of it, he wept and cried and hated it. And dude, when I was up, you could hear a hair hit the ground.
Yeah.
Dead silent, every eye. Like these kids were enraptured by the story as it happened.
Right.
Not as this watered down, evangelical, we're going to make everything soft. And every time, there would be kids that would like the feedback I would get is our small group was nuts. The kids were like, so he's, where did he go? He died, and then where? And they'd be like, how many times did they hit him? Like what? Like they'd ask all these questions. They'd be so plugged in the like little breakup small groups, and they all wanted answers and had so many questions because kids are starving
for truth.
They are, and it's fine to treat kids like kids. Obviously, they are kids, but I mean, Doug Wilson, again, he's got this theory, harebrained, whatever. I don't know that it's necessarily true, but his theory is that kids talk the way that they talk, with this like lisp and little kid way, because that's how we talk to them.
Ah, okay.
So they like learn to talk that way, and they would be more adult-like.
Because we baby talk to them?
Yeah, they would be more adult-like if we were more adult to them. And
we're at about 5 minutes
all
till
right,
the
5
camera
minutes
shuts down.
Okay, so listen up. Your mission in life is not to be a good engineer. Your mission in life is not to be a good baker, a good homemaker. Your mission in life is not to do well with girls. Your mission in life is not to do well in college, to get good grades. Your mission in life is not to get the big house. Your mission in life is not to build an off-the-grid tiny home where you and your family get to enjoy all organic food you've grown. That's not your mission in life. Your mission in life is to raise the next generation of Christians, is to glorify God. And he's told us how we glorify him. And this is maybe the prime action that Christians can take, that God has instructed us to do to glorify him, is to raise the next generation of Christians. Everything you do should be oriented towards displaying Christian behavior and a Christian worldview and the grace of God to your children, including disciplining them and teaching them. You should be reading the Bible to your kids every day to make it a little practical. To make what I'm talking about a little practical, you should be reading the Bible to them every day. You should be praying with them. You should be teaching them the gospel story. You should be having them memorize the 10 Commandments. But you shouldn't stop there. Your kids should see you, as best as you can actually establish this. Your kids should see you first as a Christian before they see you as a father. If that's even possible. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, that's how they should see you. They should know that you take this seriously and that they should take it seriously. That's my piece.
I would also add that just, I don't remember who said it. I saw someone online, a pastor, talking about how he prays over each child every night before they go to bed.
Yeah.
Asking God to lead and guide them and to sanctify them and to watch over them and keep them. And I think he even prayed for like spouses for them in the future, that they would have godly spouses and raise up families of their own.
Yeah.
And so I do that every night with my children, and it's usually pretty quick. It's a very quick prayer.
Yeah.
Which in some sense makes it very rote, makes it very repetitive to me anyway. But at least my eldest does not want to go to sleep without both my wife and I individually like praying over her.
Yeah, good.
So she's like, it doesn't feel normal going to bed without it now.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to relate this to like the Catholics who pray the rosary and just repeat endless prayers, just saying words over and over again. I think it needs to have meaning and earnest behind it. And so, I try and like switch up my wording and whatnot just to keep it from being memorizing a script, which is difficult. So it's difficult for me personally not to feel like it's rote.
Yeah.
But I think just it's a good practice to practice in consistency. And a practice in just doing the same thing and asking God repeatedly for the same thing. Lord, please keep my children on the straight and narrow. Please help them to fulfill their covenant obligations, to stay in the covenant, to not reject it, and please bless them with a godly spouse in the future.
Okay.
So that's it for this episode. Please follow us on the socials. You can donate to us at buymeacoffee.com. Link should be in the description. We are on Facebook at Hyper Premium. We are on X at Hyper Premium DGT, Instagram Hyper Premium Mag, and your X handle?
My X handle is Unlimited Harm.
And
Instagram is Mega Threat.
okay, and my X handle is just at Jason Goodman, or at the Jason Goodman, I think. And then my handle is He Who Podcasts.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we love you. We are praying for you. Please go to church, find a woman there, marry her, have some
babies.
There we go. Hit it.